Now to India, which is facing a worsening energy crisis caused by the war in Iran and the effective closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Thousands of migrant workers are leaving big cities and returning to their home villages because they can't get gas to cook their meals. India's dependence on gas shipped from the Gulf region is hitting some of the country's most vulnerable people. DW's Adil Bhatt reports.
Our gas cylinders have been empty for 6 days. We are barely eating our meals, and that too with great difficulty.
Anger and frustration are growing in this migrant neighborhood in Delhi. Migrant workers here say their lives have been upended by a crippling shortage of cooking gas, triggered by the conflict in the Middle East.
We're in a terrible situation. Don't even ask how we are. The government's left workers like us on the streets to die.
For days, Sajjad and his roommates have been trying to refill their gas cylinder. This is now the 6th day he hasn't gone to work. Instead, he has been searching for cooking gas.
Look and see these gas cylinders. All of them are empty.
Without gas, there is no cooking at home. So he has been relying on small roadside eateries. But prices there have doubled, putting even that beyond reach. Some workers are skipping meals entirely.
Nobody wants to give their life or to die from hunger. And if this situation continues for the workers, then a time will come when we have to eat grass to survive.
Across this colony, some workers say they have gone days on an empty stomach. Others are surviving on the most basic uncooked food.
This is sugar that we eat with curd and flattened rice, only to survive. This is where the Delhi government has brought us. We urge the government to do something for us, especially for migrant workers of Bihar.
For many, staying in the city is no longer financially possible. Thousands have already left this colony, and many more are preparing to go. India is the world's second largest importer of liquefied petroleum gas. Nearly 90% of its supply comes from the Gulf. Much of it shipped through the Strait of Hormuz. Tensions in the region have sent prices soaring. A cylinder that once cost under 10 euros now sells for as much as 50 on the informal market. For workers living hand-to-mouth, this is not an inconvenience, it's a breaking point. Outside this railway station, the crowds we are seeing are made up largely of migrant workers heading home. Many here say they are leaving because of shortage of cooking gas. We have visited railway stations in Delhi and spoke to dozens of workers. They all describe a similar struggle, the inability of finding LPG cylinders to cook their meals and support their families. Among those boarding today is Bunty Thakur, a factory worker from Bihar who has made Delhi his home for years. For 3 weeks, his family has not eaten a proper meal. He still has a job. But without gas, he can no longer feed the people who depend on him.
I don't want to die of hunger. If I have to work here, I need to eat. And if I can't eat, I can't work. So me and my family have to leave this city out of desperation because there is no cooking gas available for us.
As a factory worker, Bunty earns roughly 8 euros a day, supporting a family of 5. But for now, his only option is to take them back to his home village.
When I reach home, at least I will get to eat. In Bihar, I can live peacefully. I can work on the farm. In the village, we can at least feed ourselves, unlike here, where it's become impossible.
As he boards, he realizes he's not alone. The compartment is full of people just like him. Migrant workers from the same neighborhoods, facing the same impossible choice.
In Delhi, they are not allowing us to cook on firewood. If you have cooking gas, only then can you cook. Otherwise, they tell us pay the rent or leave the home.
We've been speaking to dozens of people inside this train. They've been telling us they don't have an option to stay in Delhi anymore. They've been trying their best to get gas cylinder, but they are unable to get. So they have decided to leave this city and go back to their hometown. In India, trains like these become a lifeline when crisis strikes the migrant workforce. They board in their thousands, trusting that going home is the only way to survive.
It's just poor people like us who suffer most. We've got no help from anyone. People who've got money, they've got gas pipelines, and gas reaches their home. It's the laborers like us who have to stand in long queues, and despite that, we're not getting gas cylinders.
This crisis is not limited to Delhi. Across India, states are reporting similar shortages. In Surat, the country's textile hub, factories are scaling back or shutting down. The scenes at railway platforms are trying comparisons to the mass exodus that gripped the country during the COVID-19 lockdown in 2020. But inside Parliament, the government denies any national shortage, accusing opposition parties of spreading panic.
Modi government's foremost priority is that the kitchen of India's 33 crore families, especially the poor and the underprivileged, do not face any shortage. Domestic supply is fully protected and the delivery cycle is unchanged. The standard time for booking to delivery for domestic LPG cylinders remains 2.5 days, unchanged from pre-crisis norm.
For economist Avinash Kumar, who teaches labor studies at Jawaharlal Nehru University in Delhi, the crisis exposed a deeper structural problem.
The migrant workers, most of them coming from the marginalized backgrounds, most of them coming from the so-called backward regions of the country, all these vulnerabilities add more when they come in the city spaces and they do not have any takers. Now, if the prices will rise, wages has not risen, so where will they get those things from? And because there is a scarcity, there is a LPG is not really available, so there is a black marketeering, and all possible resources are being driven towards supplying it to the middle class, supplying it to the the elite class, the ruling class, and the vulnerable migrant workers are left with nothing.
DW reached out to India's Ministry of Labour and Employment for comment on how it's addressing the crisis, but received no response. Thousands of migrant workers are now leaving cities and returning to their villages, not because there is no work, but because they can access basic cooking fuel back home. In rural areas, many families are registered for subsidized LPG cylinders, something migrant workers often lack in cities due to documentation barriers. And while gas isn't available, alternatives like firewood or cow dung are still used, options that are simply not practical or even allowed in crowded urban settlements. Back in the migrant colony, it's already turning dark, and migrant workers are asking the same question: how to find their next meal. While some have already booked their train tickets, many are left in limbo and running out of options.